Jacob. We're going to get started with our program. The first thing we're going to do is induct two members of the Mississippi Press Association Hall of Fame. It is my honor to describe the achievements of our first inductee, Mr. Ray Mosby. Task for many reasons. Ray was not exactly a big man in terms of his physical build, but he really was a towering presence in the Mississippi newspaper industry and in our press association. This year's convention felt different, not just because we're in Memphis instead of on the Gulf Coast, but because Ray, for the first time in many, many years, is not here. Ray is the kind of guy who would grouse about the effort that it took for the editor of a small weekly newspaper to get to the Gulf Coast each year for our shindigs and soirees, as he called them. But I know that in recent years, as his health slowly declined, he was very much intent on not missing our shindigs. He convinced himself a long time ago, several years ago, that whatever was going to be said in the meetings, in the sessions, was something he had heard before. So his favorite thing to do was to set up shop near the registration desk or the silent auction room and just sit on a bench or a chair and greet his fellow members as they checked in. It was always a lot of fun to talk to them. They would exchange shop talk, they would exchange gossip, they would present the state of politics in Mississippi and the country, talk about the good old days of newspapers, and in particular when editorial pages were a big deal. And Ray was a highly decorated reporter, photographer, and editor, but he was probably best known for his lively opinion page. His weekly editorial and his syndicated opinion column took many, many politicians on the local, state, and national level to task. Politicians who had done a questionable job rarely escaped the singular glare of Ray's opinion page. Another reason this weekend was daunting because was Ray's unmistakable way with words and prose. A simple column about the coming holidays or one about his best friend, Dingo the dog, could warm your heart and would allow the reader to immediately relate to the situation Ray was describing. Personally, I had heard Ray's name called out at these award luncheons many, many times before I got to know him when we both joined the Press Association Board in 2012. And I was fortunate enough to get to know him a lot better. His sense of humor was singular and unique. His ability to deliver a drumbeat comment or a sly quip was unparalleled among his fellow board members and most of us here in the association. It was usually just the chuckle that we all needed to lighten the mood as we discussed the challenges that lay before us. Ray passed away last November, and in the days that followed, there was an outpouring of reverence and appreciation from his friends and colleagues. Many recall that Ray was either a fierce friend or a wily foe. There was not very much middle ground. Here's a couple of examples. His friend and fellow Press Association board member Amanda Ferguson recalled Ray's willingness to do a favor when she called his paper, the Deer Creek Pilot, to ask him about a restaurant in Rolling Fork to see if it could deliver food to a grieving local family that was friends of hers. And Ray said he didn't know of anything, but he would try the grocery store, and he took it upon himself to order a sandwich tray and offered to deliver it personally for Amanda. And then he said, just tell me this, Amanda. Do you know whether or not these people like me? It was something only he would say. And he would send clever emails too. He was fortunately very good at that. Last year, I wrote an editorial saying that white people who were worried about America's changing demographics should start having more babies. So Ray wrote me a note that said, "Bravo, at last an editorial writer has found the way to respectfully tell folks to go screw themselves." That is one email that I could not delete. Ray and his wife Phyllis began their journalism careers working for the late Joe Ellis, the longtime owner and editor of the Clarksdale Press Register. In the early 1990s, they moved to Rolling Fork to take over the Deer Creek Pilot, and his legendary tour of duty began. He was honored by MPA dozens of times for his reporting, editorial writing, and photography. 3 times, including 1 year ago, he received the Oliver Emmerich Award for Editorial Excellence, the highest honor presented each year by the Press Association. My boss, Wyatt Emmerich, grandson of the editor for whom that award is named, called Ray the real deal when it comes to community journalism. Ray's final Emmerich Award last year was for commentary that addressed issues like the defund the police movement, the COVID-19 pandemic, and a call to change the state flag in Mississippi. The contest judges called his work fearless. He leaves behind a tremendous legacy in the little delta town of Rolling Fork. And his many friends at the association are proud of the work his protege and successor, Natalie Perkins, is doing there now. We know it is a tremendous effort to walk in Ray's footsteps, but she is doing the old man proud. So it is my distinct honor to induct Ray Mosby into the Mississippi Press Association Hall of Fame and to present this token of esteem to his daughter, who is here from Florida, Logan Mosby George. Induction, I would like to call on Press Association past president and Hall of Fame member Sid Sullivan.
As I get older, I find it more difficult to get through days like today without becoming emotional. So I decided I would work on this in advance to maybe get a little bit ahead of that. So I worked on a presentation that I'd like to share with you now. Lane, this is Lisa's Long and Winding Road. A Mississippi journalism story that carries 4 generations. The first of her line, George Elias Denley, 1867 to 1942. Joanne tells me that the church-going side of the family does not like this story, but Gail said that he personally loved it. George Elias Dinley won the Coffeyville Courier in a poker game. And he operated it successfully as publisher, printer, editor in Yalobusha County. He also, and this is unusual for a newspaper man, he found the popularity to also serve in the Mississippi House and Senate and as a justice of the peace. I know some newspaper folks have made it to the legislature, but to get elected JP is simply outstanding. Next was Lisa's grandfather, and that's Lisa in his lap, Sellers Van Hooser Dinley. Gail rarely talked about his father that he didn't throw the middle name in. Lisa had the privilege of learning literally at Mr. Sellers' knees. He worked with his family first at the Coffeyville Courier, and then in the early 50s, he and his wife Maggie and Gail came to Bruce in Calhoun County and founded the Calhoun County Journal, where he served Mr. Sellers as a publisher and editor. He also served a term in the state legislature and also was on the Bruce Board of Aldermen. And then her father, S. Gail Dinley, who succeeded his father as publisher, editor. He also was a nationally and statewide syndicated columnist from the Calhoun County Journal. As a journalism professor at the University of Mississippi, a Silver M winner there, a past MPA president, a past Hall of Fame member. He served as vice chairman of the Ethics Commission, was Bruce City Alderman, and served as an alderman and mayor pro tem there in city government. He also regionally served as a member of the board of the Create Foundation, the regional library system, and the Sanctuary Hospice organization up there. And then, of course, our honoree, Lisa Diane Dinley McNeece. Born in 1960, left us too soon in 2018. Associate editor of the Calhoun County Journal, past MPA president, past member of the, joins us today in the Hall of Fame. She was an instructor, following in her father's footsteps in the Ole Miss Department of Journalism and New Media. She was a cum laude graduate of Ole Miss with a master's degree in journalism. Let's remember Lisa's family. These shots from her childhood. Typical Lisa photo, mouth open. I don't know what to say about the hair, Celia, all the way around, but I know that Lisa enjoyed this photo, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. This was the entirety of the Journal staff, except for, I think, someone who drove the van to the post office there in Bruce when they moved to the new building. They're still in the new building. Joel and Lisa, who brought a great deal of fun, personality, leadership to those of us who were in their MPA family. Lisa with her sister Celia, they worked together side by side for years. Celia is still there, holding the fort, and but this was a typical way to find them in the office working together. This was one of their passion projects, the Paper Man. They made this decoration, I think, as a celebration of National Newspaper Week or some such. But you can see the effort that went into that. This was a shot at the Neshoba County Fair of Gail and his three daughters, Lisa, Celia, and Deanna. course, the centerpiece of Lisa's life, her children, Marshall and Joella. And Lisa also had a family out here, her MPA family. Some of the early family trips to conventions, which as was true in Ray Mosby's family, if they got a vacation, that was it, going to press convention. And then in her own right, Lisa's MPA memories with her friends and family at press convention. This is one of my favorite nights, lifetime. The lady in the middle was Mildred Dearman, and Lisa kind of inherited the hosting of the Better Newspaper Contest Awards from Mildred. We actually were, Joanne, as you recall, we were in a restaurant when this photo was made. She wore her space garb out to dinner, but a lot of fun. And then Lisa with her board. And this was the MPA convention when Lisa served as president. And no comment necessary. This four reaped a lot of havoc in trips and had a lot of fun. And then, of course, her heart, the grandchildren. And she had another family at the Neshoba County Fair, Cabin 16. We spent more than 30 years together there, a week each year. We had a lot of fun, made a lot of memories. This was a kindred spirit and fellow traveler, someone that they supported each other through good times and bad, Carrie Hines. And of course, it is my distinct honor today, on behalf of all of you and her mother, Joanne Denley, her sisters, Celia Hillhouse and Deanna Clements, her children, Marshall and Joel and Bailey, her grandchildren, Addie Claire, Ellie Catherine, and Jack Bailey, to induct Lisa Denley McNeece in the Mississippi Press Association Hall of Fame. The children will receive this, and it's my honor.
I'll keep this brief, and as Sid said, that's very emotional to relive all of that. Excuse me. But I would like to say thank you to the, excuse me. Thank you to the Press Association. This association has been a big part of our family forever, as Sid very eloquently laid out to me. Thanks to Sid for that beautiful induction. And it's also befitting today that for Lisa to go in with Ray, who was the best editorial writer I've ever known, and I miss him dearly. And we had so many good times at conventions over the past many years. So for the two of them to go in together means a lot to our family as well. Ray was very special to all of us. I would say, encourage all of you to please stay involved in the Mississippi Press Association. It gave us and continues to give us so much. Lisa did everything through this association. There's not a committee she didn't serve on. It seemed like at times all of them at the same time. Whether it was Carolyn Wilson and then Lane, I think she was always the first call. We're establishing a committee to do this. Lisa always the first one up. And she loved that. She gave everything to it. Lisa was an immensely talented individual who could have gone anywhere and done anything. And as Sid so well pointed out, she was drawn to come back home and lead the family newspaper when she could have done anything. But that's where her heart was. She put everything she had into it, just like she did this association. Please excuse me. I can't begin to express the gratitude that we have to experience this today and to share it with so many great friends. Heard from so many all week, many that couldn't be here. And it meant a lot to me, especially to hear from some of her former students. She taught journalism at Ole Miss for several years, and I've had the great fortune to stay in contact with several of her former students, which just means the world to me, and they still treasure her mentorship and what she gave to them. And to hear from them for the first time in a little while this past week was wonderful. And it's the Press Association just bringing it all kind of back home. And what a huge part of all of our lives, our entire family. So I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Joel and Logan, thanks for everything you said. It means a lot, and these induction